I'd just driven my truck down the dusty road to Willow Creek, Oregon, after 8 months away working in Texas with the Apex Bulldozer crew, when a gleaming white SUV rounded the corner and pulled up beside me. The window rolled down and a woman leaned out. Platinum blonde hair tied tight, expensive sunglasses covering half her face, a smile both sweet and icy. "Can I help you with something?" she asked, her tone suggesting I was a stray animal too close to her garden. Before I could answer, my eyes caught what was behind her. Not the empty field of weeds and rotting wooden fences my father Daniel Hayes had left me, but a brand new playground. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the latest video. I sat still in the cab, hands gripping the wheel, staring at the scene ahead. Red slides, green swings, a wooden climbing structure, all standing tall on my land like a bunch of shiny toys. The old fence my dad built was gone, replaced by new gleaming chain link fencing surrounding the area like a challenge. I'd just come back from demolishing an old factory in Texas. Long days under scorching sun, nights sleeping to the sound of clanging metal, hoping to see the land my dad loved, where he taught me to drive a tractor and swore no one could control it. Not the city, not neighbors, and definitely not an HOA. He didn't leave me a house, no money, just this land, which I held onto like a promise. I killed the engine, opened the door, and stepped out, my boots hitting the dry ground hard. The light breeze was drowned out by kids' laughter echoing from the playground. A few were swinging, carefree, like they'd belonged there forever. I stood there, eyeing the pristine equipment, my mind reeling. This was my land. I knew it for sure, because Dad and I had marked every boundary stake, his sweat soaking the soil. I checked the GPS on my phone, glanced at the old marker Dad left near the road. No mistake. I turned to the woman, took a deep breath, and pointed at the playground. "Yeah, you can tell me why someone built that on my land." She glanced at my truck door, where the Apex Bulldozer crew logo was painted bold black. Her smile faltered for a second, but she regained her composure. "I'm Olivia Bennett, Willow Creek HOA president. This is association land," she said, voice sharp. "Approved by the board ages ago. Maybe you should check your paperwork." I clenched my jaw. "No, this is my land, inherited from my dad. I never gave anyone permission to build on it." Olivia shrugged, turning back to her car. "Well, we have records. You agreed verbally, with the board. Maybe you forgot. Busy job and all." She got in, the window rolling up before I could reply, and the SUV drove off, leaving me standing there, blood boiling. Olivia's white SUV disappeared around the bend, gravel dust lingering in the air. Her engine faded, but her words, "Maybe you forgot, busy job and all," rang in my head like a slap. I turned back to the playground, swing swaying lightly in the breeze, the red slide glaring like it was mocking me. My land, the land my dad left me, now turned into something I didn't want, didn't allow. I clenched my fists, the heat in my veins still burning. Olivia thought I was some fool who'd let this slide, because of a few lies. I walked closer to the playground, boots crunching on the fresh gravel spread around it. The shiny chain link fence loomed like a wall, but I could still see every detail. New wooden posts, colorful plastic panels, all built on my land without a word to me. I remembered Dad talking about how the HOA here swallowed everything. Land, houses, like unstoppable weeds. He hated them, and so did I. I'd kept my promise to him, never selling to developers, no matter how tight money got, or how neighbors muttered I was wasting a useful empty lot. To me, this land wasn't just dirt, it was memory, it was Dad's legacy, and I wasn't letting Olivia or her association take it. I went back to the truck, opened the door and slid into the driver's seat. The engine was still warm, its low growl when I restarted it. A reminder of my job tearing down things that didn't belong where they stood. I drove straight to the playground, parked right by the chain link fence, and stepped out again. This time, I wasn't just looking. I needed to confront this now. And as if the universe agreed, Olivia's white SUV rolled back up, tires crunching gravel as she stopped a few yards away. She stepped out, heels teetering on the dirt, white blazer still wrinkle-free despite the blazing heat. "I thought you'd left," she said, her voice sweet but cutting, like I was some clueless nuisance. "Anything else, Mr. Hayes?" I pointed at the playground, voice hard as steel. "I want to know who approved building that on my land, and why no one told me." Olivia tilted her head, her smile flickering as her eyes flicked to the Apex Bulldozer crew logo on my truck. But she regained her confidence, stepping closer. "Like I said, this is HOA land," she replied, voice sharp as a blade. "The board approved it long ago. You agreed verbally with us on record. Maybe you should check your papers, or at least your memory." "I didn't agree to anything," I snapped, stepping forward to face her. I've been in Texas for 8 months, tearing down a factory. I didn't talk to any board, didn't sign anything. You're lying. She smirked, the kind of smile people use to seem nice while insulting you. Oh, Mr. Hayes, I get it. Busy job, away so long, who remembers everything? But the playground's built. Residents love it. Making a fuss now just wastes time. She turned, waving me off like shooing a fly. If you've got questions, bring your papers to the HOA office. I'm busy. Her words, maybe you should check your papers, hit like a dare, and I wasn't letting it slide. That land was mine, inherited from my dad, and I wouldn't let that playground stay there on a few sweet-talking lies from Olivia. I knew I needed proof, something neither she nor her HOA could deny. I drove into downtown Willow Creek, parking in front of the county office, a squat building with white paint yellowing at the edges. I walked in, boots thumping on the old wooden floor, the smell of ink and burnt coffee hitting me. A young clerk with glasses looked up from behind the counter as I approached. "Hi," she said, voice soft. "I'm Clara Scott. What do you need?" I rested my hands on the counter, voice tense. "I need the original deed for Lot 42B in Willow Creek, and any records on recent zoning changes." Clara nodded, disappearing into the back storage room. I stood there, hands in pockets, thinking of the times Dad took me out to that field. He'd built a little chicken coop by hand, a tool shed, even a basketball hoop from an old bike rim. Nothing fancy, but all his, all real. He told me not to sell to developers who'd slap up beige condos and call it progress. I'd kept that promise, even when cash was tight, even when neighbors grumbled I was wasting land. To me, it wasn't just land, it was Dad. Clara returned after 15 minutes, a stack of papers in hand. "Here you go," she said, setting them on the counter. I flipped through Dad's deed, his signature bold and clear, legal boundaries stamped, marked private, not under HOA. No zoning changes, no building permits for a playground. I checked the zoning docs, spotting a highlighted line, residential use only, no commercial or public structures without a public hearing. No hearing, no notice, no signatures. They built the playground in broad daylight without a shred of legal permission. I looked at Clara, voice low. "They built a playground on this lot. See any permits?" She shook her head, frowning. "Nothing in the records. If they built it, they skipped every step." I photocopied it all, deed, zoning rules, land use restrictions, then tucked them into a folder. "Thanks," I said, heading back to the truck. On the way home, I stopped at the general store for water. Walking in, I caught a few averted glances, some whispers behind me. A woman near the checkout muttered something about that greedy landowner. I turned, but she looked down, pretending to pick items. I knew what was happening. Olivia had started spreading rumors, painting me as the bad guy, just like she'd told me. Don't make a fuss to cover her own wrong. I paid for the water, left, feeling like the whole town was turning on me. I drove home from the store, the cold water bottle now warm in my hand from thinking about those dodged looks and hushed whispers. Olivia wasn't just building on my land, she was making me the villain of Willow Creek. Words like greedy landowner kept looping in my head, and I knew she was behind it. I had the papers, Dad's deed, zoning rules, but papers don't stop wagging tongues. I gripped the wheel tight, feeling like the town was against me, even though I was the one wronged. As I turned onto my road, I saw a group out front, 5 or 6 people, men and women, arms crossed, faces tense. I parked, stepped out, and recognized the leader, Emily Foster, a mom I'd met at the store a few times. She stepped forward, voice shaky but firm. "Mr. Hayes, we need to talk about the playground." I frowned, hands in pockets. "What about it?" Emily took a deep breath, looking at me like I was about to ruin something precious. "It's the only safe place the kids have to play. Don't you see? If you tear it down, they'll have nowhere. We heard you want to scrap it for money, but please, don't." The others nodded, a few glares cutting my way. Blood rushed to my face, but I kept my voice steady. "Who said I want money? This is my land, and I didn't let anyone build that playground. The HOA broke the law. No permits, no word to me." Emily shook her head, like she didn't buy it. "But Olivia said you agreed ages ago, promised the land for a playground, then flipped for compensation. She said you only care about profit, not the community." A guy behind her cut in, louder. "Some say you're selling it for a big store, turning this into a parking lot." I clenched my jaw, feeling like I'd been gut punched. Olivia wasn't just lying, she was spinning a whole tale to make me the enemy. I looked at Emily, voice dropping. "I never agreed to anything. I was in Texas 8 months, working. I didn't promise anyone anything. And I'm not selling my dad's land to anybody. Olivia's making it up. Emily blinked, but her eyes stayed doubtful. Still, the playground's there. You tear it down, you'll hurt the kids. Do you even think about them? She turned away, the group following, leaving me standing there, mind spinning. I went inside, tossed my keys on the table, and sat down. I opened the folder, stared at Dad's deed, but my head wouldn't stop replaying Emily's words. I stepped out back, looking at the field from afar. The playground, glowing in the dusk, a few kids still playing, including a small brown-haired boy, sliding down the slide. I remembered him, Noah. I'd heard his mom call him once. He laughed loud, carefree, and something stabbed at my chest. Tearing down the playground was legal, true to my promise to Dad, but watching Noah, I wondered if I was doing something wrong. I called Ryan Carter, my best friend and Bulldozer crew manager. He picked up fast, voice warm and deep. "How's it going, Ethan? Fighting the HOA yet?" I spilled it all. Emily, Olivia's rumors, the mixed feelings churning in me. Ryan went quiet a moment, then said, "Listen, that land's yours and Olivia's playing dirty. Don't let her guilt trip you with those words. Your dad wouldn't want you giving in." I nodded, though he couldn't see. "I know, but the kids, I don't want them thinking I'm the bad guy." Ryan snorted through the phone. "You're not the bad guy. Olivia's the one who built it illegally. Don't let her win with these mind games." I hung up, looked out at the field again. Ryan was right. I couldn't let Olivia manipulate me, or the community. I had the papers, the truth, and I wasn't letting Dad's land fall into her hands. Early next morning I drove out to the field, bringing the folder with Dad's deed and zoning rules. Clara Scott helped me get. I parked by the chain-link fence around the playground, stepped out, and took a closer look. This time it wasn't about shock or anger. I wanted to see what they'd done to my land. I walked along the fence, fingers brushing the wooden posts. Some were already loose, nails sticking out, and the slide's paint was peeling despite being new. This wasn't built to last. It was cheap, sloppy, and risky for kids like Noah. I pulled out my phone, recorded video of every angle, every flaw, capturing proof that this playground wasn't just illegal, it was unsafe. I called Ryan, told him to bring one of the crew's smaller bulldozers out here this afternoon for a closer look. When he arrived, I pointed at the loose posts. "See this," I said. "If a kid climbs up and it collapses, who's liable? Not Olivia, that's for sure." Ryan nodded, tapping the wood with his hand, hearing the hollow sound inside. "Looks slapped together," he said. "You've got the papers, now this. They don't stand a chance." I sat in the truck, opened my laptop, and drafted a legal warning. Short, clear, straight from what I'd learned, handling land disputes in Texas. You are notified that the playground on Lot 42B is illegal, violating city zoning regulations. Remove the entire structure within 7 days, or I'll take legal action. I printed it on the small printer in the truck, slipped it into a clear plastic sleeve, and taped it securely to a swing post. I stepped back, watching the paper sway in the breeze, feeling like I'd just made my first move. That afternoon, I returned to check, but the letter was gone. No trace, not a scrap of tape. I smirked, not surprised. Olivia and her crew weren't giving up easy. I pulled out my phone, checked the photo I'd taken when I posted it, time-stamped, clear. They could rip it down, but they couldn't erase my proof. I was about to get in the truck when Olivia's white SUV rolled up, stopping right in front of me. She stepped out, heels clicking on the gravel, flanked by a middle-aged guy in a polo shirt, face red from the sun. I figured he was Paul Grayson, an HOA board member I'd heard mentioned. Olivia crossed her arms, voice sweet but sharp. "Mr. Hayes, I saw you left a little note here. Very unnecessary." I crossed my arms back, voice firm. "Unnecessary? That was a legal warning. This playground's illegal, and I'm giving you 7 days to tear it down." She smirked, that familiar smirk. "You're just complicating things. The playground's built, residents need it. You tear it down, you'll only make yourself look bad to the whole town." Paul jumped in, voice shrill. "Yeah, who do you think you are, demanding this comes down?" I locked eyes with Olivia, unflinching. "I'm the landowner, and I know the law. You've got no permits, no right to build on my land. 7 days, or I'll take it down my way." Olivia tilted her head, smile unchanged. "Go ahead and try, Mr. Hayes, but you'll see the residents won't like it." She turned, Paul scurrying after, and the SUV drove off again. I stood there, staring at the playground, hand gripping my phone. Olivia wasn't just ignoring me, she was daring me, thinking I'd back off under community pressure, or that smirk of hers. But I'm not the type to quit. I'd given her 7 days, and if she didn't remove the playground, I'd do it my way. I called Ryan Carter, told him to bring a small bulldozer to the field this afternoon. Just the small one, I said. I want to tear a corner and see how they react. Ryan showed up as the sun dipped, towing the bulldozer on a trailer. I stood beside him, pointing at the west corner of the playground, the loose wooden climbing structure I'd filmed yesterday. Start here, I said. I want to see what's under it. Ryan nodded, climbed in, fired up the engine. The roar kicked in, and I felt that familiar adrenaline rush, the feeling I get knowing I'm about to tear down something that doesn't belong. I stepped back, watching the bulldozer's blade bite into the dirt, ripping through the gravel and thin concrete base under the climber. Wood splintered, nails scattered, and in minutes, one corner of the playground was rubble. But then Ryan killed the engine, jumped down, and called me over, voice tense. Ethan, you've got to see this. I walked up, peering into the churned up dirt. Beneath the foundation wasn't just soil and rock, it was long steel bars, lightly rusted, hidden in black plastic bags. I knelt, pulled one out, spotting faint markings on the surface, symbols from a public construction project I'd seen on Willow Creek's outskirts. I turned to Ryan, frowning. This steel's not for a playground. It was hidden here. Ryan nodded, snapping photos with his phone. Looks like stolen steel from somewhere. What do you think? I didn't answer right away, mind racing. This wasn't random. Someone had buried this under my playground on purpose. And I knew that someone could only be Olivia, or her HOA cronies. I headed home right away, called Clara Scott at the county office. Clara, can you check if there's any steel supply contract for the HOA's playground? I said, voice urgent. Clara agreed, told me to wait. While holding, I dug through my folder, pulling out the deed and zoning rules, searching for more clues. The phone rang after 20 minutes, and Clara's voice came through. Ethan, no contracts at all, no permits, no material requests. If steel's there, it's not legal. I hung up, sank into a chair, hands trembling. I pulled up Ryan's photos on my phone, the steel bars, plastic bags, markings. Then I rummaged in the truck, finding an old receipt that had slipped out of yesterday's papers, a crumpled sheet listing Pinewood Construction with Olivia Bennett as the recipient. I stared at it, heart pounding. Pinewood Construction, a company I'd never heard of, but Olivia's name was crystal clear. This wasn't just a legal building. She was using my land to hide something bigger, maybe stolen goods, maybe dirty HOA cash. I stood, stepped out back, gazing at the field now missing one corner. I remembered Dad's words, this land's yours, Ethan, but keep it clean. He didn't just mean weeds or trash, he meant stuff like this. People like Olivia who thought they could turn someone else's land into a tool for their dirty games. I clenched my fists, anger mixing with resolve. I had the papers, proof the playground was illegal. And now this, a secret Olivia didn't want anyone to know. I called Ryan that morning, voice steely. Bring the whole crew out. I want this playground gone today. Ryan hesitated over the phone. You sure, Ethan? People won't like it. I gripped my hand tight, recalling Dad's words. Keep it clean, Ethan. Sure, I replied. They can hate me, but I'm not letting Olivia win. Ryan agreed, and I braced myself for a long day. Ryan's crew rolled in at noon. 3 bulldozers, engines roaring like thunder. I stood in front of the field, pointing at the playground. Start in the middle. Take it all down, I said. But before the blades could hit dirt, I heard shouts from afar. A group about 20 people, women and kids included, ran up from the main road, holding handwritten signs, Save our playground, and Don't ruin childhood. I spotted Emily Foster leading, with Noah, the brown-haired kid I'd seen on the slide, beside her. Emily marched up, face flushed, voice shaking. Mr. Hayes, what are you doing? Don't you see the kids need this place? I took a deep breath, staying calm. Emily, this is illegal. It's on my land, no permits, and it's dangerous. I'm not tearing it down to hurt kids. I'm doing it, because it's wrong. She shook her head, eyes glistening. Olivia said you just want money, that you'll sell this land. You don't care about us. I opened my mouth to reply when tires screeched. Olivia's white SUV pulled up, stopping by the crowd. She stepped out, blazer crisp, smile, sweet but sharp. Mr. Hayes, I told you, she said, loud enough for all to hear. Tearing this down, just makes you look bad. The crowd nodded, some shouting, yeah, leave it for the kids. I stepped forward, pointing at her. You're lying to them, Olivia. This is my land. No permits for this playground. And I found steel hidden underneath. Stolen steel. Explain that. The crowd went quiet for a second, but Olivia smirked. Steel, you're making it up to justify this. Who do you think they'll believe? Me or you? I turned to Ryan, signaled. Do it. The engines roared, and the bulldozer's blade tore into the playground's center, shredding the slide. The crowd screamed, some rushing to block the machines, but then a loud crash echoed from afar. I spun around, saw 3 guys in black, faces masked, smashing one of our bulldozers with metal bats. Ryan yelled, ran toward them, but a rock thrown by one hit his shoulder. I grabbed my phone, recorded it, called Sheriff Jim Dawson. Jim, get here now. Thugs are trashing my gear. The crowd panicked, kids crying, but I didn't stop. I climbed onto another bulldozer, kept tearing, and more steel bars emerged from the wreckage, plain as day for everyone to see. I jumped down, pointed at the pile, shouting, look, this is what Olivia hid under her playground. Stolen goods. Emily blinked, Noah huddled behind her, and the crowd started murmuring. Olivia shrieked, voice cracking. Don't listen to him. He's crazy, but I saw panic in her eyes. Sirens wailed in the distance, and Jim Dawson's cruiser sped in. I stood in the field, breathing hard, hands still clutching my phone after filming the thugs and the steel uncovered from the wrecked playground. Sheriff Jim Dawson's sirens grew louder, and the crowd, once yelling to save the playground, now stood silent, eyes fixed on the gleaming steel amid the splintered wood. Emily Foster held Noah tight, her gaze shifting between me and Olivia Bennett, who stood there, pale despite her forced sweet smile. I looked at her, knowing her game was up, but I also felt the heavy stares from the residents, like I'd just smashed something bigger than a playground. Jim Dawson stepped out of his cruiser, hat shading half his tanned face. He walked over, eyed the steel, then turned to me. Ethan, what's going on here? I pointed at the rubble. I tore this playground down because it's illegal, built on my land with no permits. And under it, see that. Stolen steel, hidden. I've got a receipt tying it to Olivia and Pinewood Construction. I handed Jim my phone, showed him the video and photos I'd taken. Olivia jumped in, voice high-pitched, almost screaming. That's a lie. He's vandalizing HOA property and slandering me. But Jim raised a hand, silencing her. He watched the video, then faced the crowd. I need everyone to clear out. This is police business now. A few grumbled, but they started dispersing, leaving Emily and Noah standing there, her eyes still conflicted. Jim called for backup, and they began collecting the steel from the wreckage. I stood by Ryan Carter, who just bandaged his shoulder after the rock hit. You okay? I asked. He nodded, wincing. Fine. But who were those guys? I gritted my teeth. Olivia's people, no doubt. She hired them to scare me. Over the next 2 days, I worked with Jim, handing over everything. Dad's deed, zoning rules, the Pinewood receipt, to the police. They moved fast, and on day 3, Jim called. Ethan, we searched Pinewood Construction's office, found fake contracts, and stolen steel from a bridge project on the outskirts. Olivia siphoned HOA funds to pay for it, then used your land to hide it. I sank into a chair, hands shaking. She's locked up, Jim sighed. Arrested this morning, but she left a mess for you to clean up. I returned to the field that afternoon, bringing Ryan's crew to finish off the playground. This time, no one protested. As the bulldozers leveled what was left, I stood watching, feeling both relieved and weighed down. Dad's land was empty again, but the residents' stares still haunted me. I got home, opened the door, and found Mrs. Helen, an old friend of Dad's, standing out front with a tin of cookies. Ethan, she said, voice warm but sad. I'm sorry I stayed quiet. I knew Olivia was wrong, but I was scared to face her. You did right, protecting Daniel's land. I nodded, invited her in. Thanks. Not everyone sees it that way. She sighed. They will. In time. You didn't just keep the land, you kept the truth. That night, a letter slid under my door, scribbled, unsigned. You'll pay for wrecking the playground. Watch out. I tore it up, tossed it in the trash, but couldn't shake the chill down my spine. Olivia might be locked up, but she'd left a divided community. Some thanking me for exposing her, others still seeing me as the guy who ruined their kid's childhood. I stood in the empty field the next morning, staring at the old playground's cleared wreckage after Olivia Bennett's arrest. Dad's land was mine again. No chain link fence, no red slide, no stolen steel stashed below. But the weight of the residents' glares, the threatening note from last night, pressed on my shoulders. I'd beaten Olivia, kept the land clean like Dad wanted, but I didn't want a fractured Willow Creek. I needed to do something, Not just for me, but for folks like Noah and Emily Foster, who'd once believed I was the one wrecking childhoods.